Welcome to another painting demonstration. I'm glad you could join me today. This is just clear water as usual, just lubricating the paper. I'm using my usual palette of Cotman watercolours. It's Ultramarine, Lemon Yellow, Payne's Grey, Raw Sienna, Burnt Umber and Light Red. This is just Raw Sienna going on first. Putting it in the sky and in the ground, it just helps, keeps the colours more harmonious. Clean brush, and this is Ultramarine. The sky, it's basically the sky area that you can see between the clouds, brushing it down into the ground because there's going to be some water at the bottom. It's actually Brent Knoll by Burnham in Somerset. I'm using the hairdryer. I think I wet the paper slightly too much and the paint's starting to drip down the page a bit too much. So I'm not drying it completely, just enough. I'm just leaving it wet enough so that the Brent Knoll, the hill in the background, will still blend in. There won't be any hard edges and it just looks a bit more bit misty, but just makes it look more interesting. These are just the sky colours on the brush. Use the sky colours in the distant hills. It just makes it more realistic and helps push it back further into the distance. Again, trying not to go over the same piece of paper more than once with a stroke. You lose all those little lighter areas that just create interest. I'm just mixing some greens at the moment. These are just some distant trees that live at the base of the hill. Just varying the colour slightly, not too much, because I still want it similar tone to the hill itself, because they're still pretty far away. Just various mixes of it's basically the sky colours again with a bit of lemon yellow mixed in, but not too much. Now there's a lot more lemon yellow in that one. You can see how it's a much lighter green because it's more in the foreground, just warming it up. It's generally warmer colours in the foreground and cooler colours in the distance. Just helps create that sense of depth. So these trees here, because they're coming more into the foreground, I can start to think about putting a few twigs and branches with the finger. You wouldn't do these in those distance trees because you can't see detail like that at that sort of distance. Just putting a little bit, I'm just scratching out here some fence posts. Just put down some dark colour and just scratching some fence posts with your little finger. It's a very simple effect, very simple way, but it's very effective. There's going to be a pond in the foreground, so I'm just working my way down the page. Just various mixes of the basically the greens, the green colours, ultramarine, lemon yellow, Payne's grey, and raw sienna. Just varying the colour to try and keep it interesting. You can see I'm coming down to that little area of blue that I put in at the start. That'll be part of the pond, and it'll give the effect of the blue in the sky reflecting in the water. I just find it a lot easier to do that right at the very start of the painting than to try and do it afterwards. Again, just coming down now with the greens where it's going to meet the top of the pond. As I said before, only just trying to go over the piece of paper with just the one stroke, unless you've got a specific reason to do so. Sweeping in now the foreground bank of the pond. This is like where the mud and the reeds go. Darker colour. That was pretty much ultramarine and burnt umber mix. Again, this is another a darker mix of burnt umber and ultramarine. This is just the mud banks around the pond. Just a few flicks. Grass just to rough it up a bit. Just darkening little pieces here and there. Flicking it up with a straight brush to create the effect of reeds and grasses and whatever. Just finishing it off with a few more flicks. Remember not to overdo it. And that's Brent Knoll. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again.